My wife and I were listening to this video a while back that I made on when I used to work at Earl Sheib. Really, you guys should go back and watch that one. It's pretty funny. But I was going to elaborate a little bit on that and tell you guys more of the story. And there were so many things that I didn't say about that were really funny. And I'll tell you, um, I worked at Earl Scheib for a week because I was a custom painter. I was started when I was in my teens. And I worked at several different places. I was doing side work at my house all the time since I was 16 years old. So I knew how to paint right away, and I started working in a custom shop. We were doing a lot of graphics and stuff like that. So I had a bug like this, and I had graphics on the side of it, but we were doing graphics on all kinds of stuff. Well, a lot of stuff ended up magazines, all kinds of stuff that we did. So anyway, so I was used to working at a pretty, nice shop, and then finally the boss, says, "Hey, it's time for you to go get a real job." I'm like, all right. It was just kind of fun. This stuff fades in and out. Custom paint. Now nobody's been done it in years. So. And I was a spray man. I did all the spray work and all that. So I was looking for a job as a crash repair. They say in Europe, it's funny. They call it something like smash something like at a body shop. We call it. So I was looking at the body shop job. Does repair shop. As a painter, and a lot of places wouldn't take you seriously. Because they're like, how can you have 4 years experience when you're only 21 years old? And it's like, you guys don't understand, I've been doing this since I was a kid. Well, I remember one guy says to me, he says, "Oh yeah, hey, I got a job for you if you want it. I'll pay you as a to buff cars in their polishing shop." And I'm like, no, I was like, no, that's okay, man, I don't think I'm interested in that. I just didn't want to do it. So that's not fun. I don't like buffing. So I was like, all right, yeah, I was interviewing for a painter position. He was like, nah, you don't have an experience. So anyway, so I got finally, before I got a job at High Tech Body, I went to another place, and I was looking for a job, and the only place hiring I saw in the paper was One Day Paint and Body was hiring, and I ended up working there for one day and said, no, screw you guys. That's a slave labor job. I'm not doing that. And then I went to, but before that I had gone to Earl Scheib, and my buddies used to call me back then the Duke of Earl. And I guess that was because they heard all the stories I was telling them about the stuff I used to see. And the body shop manager in Earl Scheib was he was an Armenian guy, and nothing got through him. I mean, he was just like, he would back you up. I don't care what you did, he'd back you up. It didn't matter. You're getting backed up by the manager. He's going to take care of you. There's no problem. No, that customer is going to pay, and they're leaving. So here's the body shop manager. His favorite thing to say was, "No, I'm sorry. This is Earl Scheib. We don't do that here." That was his famous line for anything. It was like, "Well, sir, yeah, I'd like a really nice paint job." We go, "Wait a minute. Wait. Stop. Right there. You see, this is Earl Scheib. You want a really nice job? You go up the street. You pay $2,000. This is Earl Scheib. For $100, we paint your car. That's it. That's all you get." He'd say just like that, and they would just go, "Oh, well, wait a minute, I want the $100 job." And he'd be like, "Okay, but you're not going to get that same job you get up the street for $2,000, so don't expect that." So he'd have it all sold ahead of time, and these people would just come in, and man, I'm telling you, they had no idea what they had coming to them. I mean, it was just a joke. I mean, the stuff we did was just hilarious. I just thought it was funny. Everybody used to think, people think, "Oh, well, that's Earl Scheib, that's, how could you like that job and everything?" And I was like, you know what, that was fun. You could just do anything you wanted, and you just get away with it. It didn't matter. Like I remember I'd get a run somewhere in the car, like, and they'd come out and they go, "Hey, what about this run?" And he goes, "Oh, that's because your prep right there was no good." And he'd go like, "Oh, and the guy would go, "Oh, okay, okay, all right, well, okay." And whatever it was, like, so let me tell you how it worked. I'll back up for a second. I'll tell you how it worked. So he came into Earl Scheib, and as a painter there, you got one roll of 3/4 inch tape and today's newspaper for each car. So you got a newspaper and you got a roll of tape. So everywhere around if you've ever used a newspaper to mask something, there's little holes all the way around the edge. So when you put the newspaper down and you tape it, there's not enough tape to cover those holes with 3/4 inch masking tape. So you'd have all these little overspray all the way around the windows, little dots everywhere. Of course, the manager would clean all that off, and that was his big thing, the job. He'd be out there kind of cleaning the glass and selling the car to the customer and all that stuff. So I think I got one piece of sandpaper, but I'm not sure. And basically all you had was just enough sandpaper just to kind of wash the car with a piece of sandpaper like this, and that was it. And they actually had a helper that came in. I can't remember him very well, but he came in. He didn't speak any English, so he'd do stuff I didn't even tell him to do. So it was funny. So I'd go, he'd just like, start doing something. I'd be like, all right, okay, well, he's doing something. So whatever he's doing is fine with me. So, but you never had enough to like mask all the rubber off around the tail lights or the fender beading or any of half the trim. You'd run out of masking tape about halfway through, and then whatever you didn't have masking tape for, you just have to use the cardboard shield or something and then just kind of hold it there and then just spray up to it. So like sometimes door handles got painted, like all the emblems for sure, those all got hit. That was just, we didn't care. And like if the bumpers were still on the car, we didn't take them off. All we do is just kind of, usually there wasn't enough, I had newspapers, so I'd just spray around them and then just take a little bit of, the manager would just take a little bit of lacquer thinner and clean off whatever was left on the bumpers, half-ass, and you just kind of leave it like that. So, people thought, you could get a decent job if you went to Earl Scheib, but honestly, the paint they used back in the old days was called diamond gloss, and it was basically, I don't know where they got this stuff from. It was like, kind of like it dried really fast like lacquer, but it was enamel. So I don't know how they made it work that way, and it had metallics in it amazingly on some of it, but it looked like somebody just took some glitter and threw it in the paint. It was really awful. And so I remember the first job I did in there, and the manager came up and he did my interview. My interview was, okay, paint this car. And I'm like, oh, this one? I go, no problem. And I go in the booth and I spray this car out and I bring it out of the booth, and he's like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. And it was a little Triumph Spitfire. He just looks at it and he goes, oh my God, that's amazing. We have a really good painter now. It's really good. Oh my God, if you can make him look like that, we're going to make some money. I said, good, okay, cool. So he goes, well, just put the rest of the paint over there. And I said, well, there isn't any more paint. He goes, oh my God, no, you can't use that much paint on that car. I'm like, well, how much was I supposed to use? Oh, maybe 1 quart. I'm like, how can I paint a car with the high pressure gun and use 1 quart and make it look like that? I said, I can't do it. To get it to look like that, we got to put some paint on there. He's like, oh, no, we have to do this. So he gets this other guy over there, and and this guy was the regional manager, and he goes, oh, this guy's a good painter and this and that. So he goes, well, you can use all the clear you want to use. I'm like, yeah, well, that won't help me much. You can use all the, and this clear they had was just something else. Oh my God, it was awful. It was I don't know. It was just kind of like a binder or something. Yeah. Anyway, it wasn't even like real clear. And they had some kind of it was gloss additive they call it. It was clear. It was just basically binder. Is all it was. Binder, paint binder. So if you know what painting is, you know what binder is. So anyway, in the gallon, in the so it also we had sealer in the shop, and so he would say you can use as much sealer as you want. That I don't have to inventory whatever. There's some kind of thing they. So he said, and then the other guy goes, well, one guy he mixes half sealer and half paint, and he mists over the whole car. And I'm like, oh shit, seriously? And I'm like, does that work? He goes, well, yeah, it seemed to work okay. I'm like, well, we'll try it. I mean, sealer and paint aren't really the same thing, but I'll mix them together and try it. So I remember shooting this one Buick Skylark or something. I was like 80, 70 something, 75 Buick Skylark, I think, right around there. And it was silver, and it had all this parts where the paint had worn off. And so it was black underneath where the silver was, the primer was or something. And you're not covering that black with the silver. The silver was like super, super transparent. So one of the guys also told me this. He goes, well, I said, there's not enough paint to do 2 coats the way you guys are telling me. I have to do it all in 1 coat, And he goes, oh, I said, well, how do you do that? And the guy goes, well, you open up the door, you paint this panel, you start right here, and you work your way all the way around the car, and when you get back to here again, you open up the door, and with the door open, you spray off the edge, and that way you don't have a dry spot in the middle of the door. So I was like, okay. I can do that. So I painted this one. It looked like shit when I was done. I mean, it looked completely like shit, because I'm not able to do anything right. I just had to totally half-ass everything to the max. And so I do it, and the car, I pull it out. I literally am laughing because I'm looking at this car, and it looks like shit, And you're trying to, say it doesn't look like shit, but it looks like shit. So how do you, justify that? And the manager just justified it very easily by saying, this is Earl sheib. This is what you get. That's it. Here's your, pay me inside. He could in the office, you'd paid. And the guys would freaking pay. I couldn't believe it. So, but this car had you could just see right through it everywhere. But I used that primer and, in with the finish on that one. But I'll never forget the guy who came in with this black Trans Am. The Mexican guys came in with this black Trans Am, and the guys had sanded it with a grinder. Okay, so they used 24 grit, and they ground down the whole car, and so you could just see these giant, just jagged swirl marks all through the whole thing. and even the manager goes, and the guy goes, oh, I want a negro, everything negro. The manager goes, hey, this one's gonna look really bad. He goes, no, it's okay. I want a negro, black, So I remember painting that thing and bringing it out of the booth, and man, I mean, you just look like shit. But the black always covered, so that was no problem there. So I got it all in 1 coat, and I bring it out, and the Mexican guys are out there, oh, it looks beautiful. And I'm like, oh, crap. You serious? You guys like this? All right. Hey, cool. You guys like it? And I'm just in there just laughing the whole time in the booth. Just can't even believe I'm painting this thing. So those guys came in, but the thing that I wanted to add, I did put in the other video. The other video is a little more funny. It was more candid. It kind of caught me at the right time. So be sure to watch that one. The thing I wanted to add is they had a body man. So the guy would just walk up to the car and say there was a dent in it. He'd just take a hammer and punch. So he had a big bubble dent here. I mean, the thing just caved in, and he'd just walk up to it with a hammer and a punch, and he'd punch like 4 or 5 holes in it, and he'd just take his hammer and just go, bam, 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 and he'd just pull mushroom the thing right out of the dent, and you just be like this, you know, pointed thing right there, where the dent, where he pulled out the slide hammer. He'd put another one, bam, 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 bam. All these mushroomed holes in there, and I'm like, so I'm over there watching this guy. Of course, I got to describe the guy to you. Here he is. He's got a Dodge flat nose van with the side doors are open. So both side doors are open, and his tools are sitting there. And I mean, this van looked like hell. It was just a piece of crap. It was a total reject in the time. You could get one of those things for free. If you looked for one back then. Now they're worth a ton of money, but the Dodge ones are not as desirable as the Chevy and Ford. And I think it was green, so just fit the whole thing. The guy had like hair down to his middle of his back, really long hair, and he looked like he was on some kind of drugs. So, but I didn't really understand that stuff. I wasn't into drugs or anything, so I didn't know, if he was on drugs or didn't know the difference. But nowadays I'd look and I'd go, oh my God, that guy's so on heroin right now or something, and then he'd pull out this dent. He wouldn't grind it, wouldn't sand it, wouldn't do anything. He'd just mix up some Bondo, and he'd just get this big wide trowel of Bondo, and he'd just spread it all over the thing. And then he'd just sand it down one time. He put some lacquer primer on it, and he gave it to me. And I to the manager, well, what do you do with that? So I blocked this out and sanded it. He goes, no, you just paint it. It's ready. I go, okay. So I just painted over garbage dents. There was just stuff that I just couldn't believe. It was just crazy stuff. Like that every day. So you just never knew what you were going to come onto every day you came to work, and it was just totally hilarious. You go there and just crack up laughing. You got a real sheib. So anyway, if you really want to know, back in the 80s or something like that, if you got a good paint job or a real sheib, that's pretty much how it worked out. And it's not the same now. They're all different people now, and it's not the same company. So just wanted to put that in there. They're not even this. The Earl Scheib's out of business. They're long been out of business. The people who are in it now that call themselves Earl Scheib's are just using the name. So it's probably totally different. They're not even owned by the same people. It's not even the same corporation or anything. Might be just individual city licenses or something like that. Or they used to be an Earl Scheib location, and they took over, went into an independent shop. So don't judge them now by what I'm telling you in this video. So it's probably completely, totally different. So and they probably don't even use diamond gloss paint, which was Earl Scheib's signature brand. And anyway, but that guy in the van was just hilarious. I mean, I used to go over and I go, well, hey, how much you get for this dent? He'd go, 200. I go, wow, $200? He go, yep. And he just totally just Mickey Mouse it and then hand it to me, and I'm like, crap. I was like, whoa, I'm gonna put paint on this thing, and then the customer would come and they'd look at it and they'd see the wavy crap panel, and they'd go, huh? And the manager would go, no, it's all fixed, very good. You're okay. And the people would just pay for it and leave. Guess they just figured that's what they were getting. So anyway, you don't have to do a nice job to be a painter. You can do crap like what they do, and people got paid for it back then. But today's a big difference. Anyway, just thought I'd give you guys a little heads up on Earl Scheib, the history back in the 80s.